Welcome to Destiny of Music. I'm Odie.
And I'm Ben.
Welcome to our podcast. This day's podcast is about the maracas and the violin. We're also going to be playing it and talking about it as well. And we also make our podcast every Monday. Let's start off with some history of maracas while I go see which instrument I'm going to go pick.
Venezuelan joropo music is a vibrant and dynamic Latin American genre incorporating various traditional instruments, including maracas. These percussion instruments are essential to the sound in Venezuela and Colombia, providing rhythm, texture, and energy to the music. But the maracas are more than just instruments. They are a cultural symbol representing Venezuela's rich history and traditions. The instrument's origin can be traced back to the indigenous peoples of South America, who used gourd rattles as part of their religious and ceremonial practices. Maracas are percussion instruments consisting of two hollow gourds or shells filled with seeds, beads, or other small objects that produce a rattling sound when shaken. In Venezuelan joropo music, maracas are an essential component of the rhythm section, providing the driving beat that underpins the melodies and harmonies of the music. They are often played in pairs, with one in each hand, and are used to create complex rhythmic patterns and syncopated grooves that give the music its distinctive sound. The history of maracas in Venezuelan music dates back to pre-Columbian times, when indigenous tribes in South America used them in religious ceremonies and healing rituals. Odie's going to play our maraca here for us so we can hear what it sounds like.
This is what it sounds like.
Very good.
And now Dad is going to start off us with history of the violin.
The first known bowed stringed instrument was the ravanastron, emerging in medieval India, patronized by kings and nobility. Between the 7th and 10th centuries, the instrument was brought to the Middle East by traders, and from there, bowed string instruments spread and were developed throughout Asia, Africa, and eventually Europe. The first recognizable ancestor of modern violins is the rebab, which originated in the 8th century in the Middle East, spreading throughout North Africa and Europe along trade routes. It features 3 to 4 strings, a peg box with pegs for each string, and a bow held similarly to a German double bass bow hold, held from the side rather than from the top.
I found a roly-poly. I'm going to name him Ted. Clap for Ted of his appearance. Ted, why not you? Come on.
In Europe, the rebab developed into 2 instruments, the rebec and the lira. The rebec was likely introduced to Europe during the Arabic conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. Lira emerged out of the Byzantine Empire of the 10th to 12th century. The oldest surviving modern violin is an instrument by the Cremonese violin maker Andrea Amati. Cremona has always had a reputation for stringed instrument making, and, under Amati's influence, the city remained the center of violin-making excellence for generations. From the 1870s into the 1920s, as the global economy shifted from local manufacturing to large-scale factory systems, many violin makers realized that instruments could be made in huge batches and sold to a wider audience. Most workshops had a single master maker with a variety of apprentices and entry-level luthiers making a full suite of lesser instruments to sell at large.
Guys, we wish we had a camera, but this is a podcast, and we don't have a camera.
All right, and now Odie's going to play the violin for us.
Yep. the violin sounds like. And now we're gonna play the drum, and I'm gonna get it. So now I'm gonna pass the mic. And now I'm gonna play the drums. And 3, 2, 1. Guess the song. Well, if you guess Star Wars, well then you're right. Now, I have a surprise instrument for you guys, and I'm gonna leave it up to Dad to talk so I can get the other instrument.
We're excited to be making this podcast for you guys. Odie's got a very interesting little instrument here.
Including it's not really even an instrument, really. So now it's a homemade slingshot. And now let me go get my other surprise instrument. I'm really happy to make this podcast with Ben. It's really enjoying. This is just like our first podcast, and we're already so hyped up about it. So, I grabbed my next instrument, and now I'm gonna put it on the mic on its stand, so you guys can hear what the next instrument sounds like. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but yeah, so that's a stethoscope that you're listening to. What's really funny is I just put the parts that go into your ear onto the mic and just let it go. Get it? Boodooch. Okay, now I'm gonna go get my last instrument that's very surprising. And Dad's gonna take it away.
We hope to learn how to play these instruments and as we go through this podcast and become better at music.
Hopefully. And I have my next thing. And here's what it sounds like. Warning, loud noises. Now, guess what that is? Well, if you guessed correctly, amazingly, I got like this little thing, a measuring cup, with bullet shells in it, and I'm putting my hand over it, and then I'm shaking it.
And now we'll listen to some music featuring the maracas and the violin.
Shake them low, I tap them on the ground. Tap the ground, yeah, tap the ground. Let's dance. I love my maracas, I make them tap, tap, tap. I tap them high, I tap them low, I tap them in my lap. Tap your lap, yeah, tap your lap. Let's dance. I shake them side to side. I shake to the right, I shake to the left, and then I make them hide. Make them hide. Hey, where'd they go? Dance! I love my maracas. I tap them to the beat. I tap my shoulders, tap my tummy, then I tap my feet. Tap your feet. Yeah, tap your feet. Yeah. Let's dance! Maracas, I spin them round and round. I spin and spin and spin and spin until I fall right down.
And we're gonna, tell you how we feel about making the podcast and how we made the podcast anyways. So, we're gonna start off with talking about how I feel. I'm very happy to make this podcast. I was the one who started the idea. We're 100% happy, but there's higher numbers than that. And how I started it was one day I thought, what about on Monday we start a podcast just with me and Ben? And then I told Ben, and then I kept on asking him until one day that dream finally came true, and that is today. And guys, just clap happy birthday, because October 4th is my birthday. So, hooray. I already got some early presents, you could call them. And I'm surprised that I came with this when, a couple of weeks ago, and then it finally happened. And guess how old I am? Well, if you pick number 7, you are correct.
I'm very excited to make this podcast with you, Odie. I hope that it brings us closer together, and I think it'll be a good way to spend some time together. I also think it's very interesting that you chose music as the topic for the podcast, because neither of us are super musical, per se, but we do like music.
I mean, I really I know how to play the violin, sort of. I got 2 ukuleles that I know how to play. I think I changed that 100%. And this soundproof room was actually made by Ben and DJ, who lives with us. This is actually right next to his room. It's very fun. Ben just said we got a good podcast. I'm going to say we got a fire podcast. Can I get some W in that chat? Even though there is no chat. Just give this podcast a W. Just say, we give this podcast a W. We also know how to do PE. I know how to do PE. Do you? We both know how to do PE, so maybe some of ours might not be music. They might end up turning into PE. And that is all for episode 1. We are so happy to have you guys here. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Peace out.